Welcome back, everyone. My name's Caleb. I'm the Furniture Cowboy. My wife and I have created a business here in Austin, Texas, transforming random pieces of furniture we find into something truly spectacular. In today's video, we're going to be taking you through our restoration of this genuine mid-century piece here. This is one of the toughest projects we've ever done, and it was definitely a culmination of all of the skills that we've learned so far throughout our furniture flipping journey. I can't wait to share this one with you guys, so let's get started.
Wait, real quick, before we get started, one quick announcement for you guys. We're doing a $100 giveaway. I was trying to figure out what I should give away to you guys, but who doesn't like $100? So we're doing a $100 giveaway to celebrate 100 videos of our full-time furniture flipping videos. So to find out how you can enter the drawing and how you can participate, we're gonna be announcing all of that at the end of this video. But don't just skip ahead, because I can see you guys. I see how long you're watching these. So if you don't watch the whole thing, I'm not gonna count your entry. Okay, bye, that's all.
As usual, we're going to start off by disassembling everything and getting it all clean. I bought this piece off of Facebook Marketplace for, I want to say, 40 bucks, which is pretty reasonable. I see in a lot of videos and posts, people get dressers like this for free, and I just don't think it's possible in my area. Here in Austin, people seem to recognize what they have, or they're at least able to recognize the style of a piece and not let it go for free. Looking at this piece, I knew that the hardware alone was worth 40 bucks, so I'm definitely happy with that. Now that we've got everything clean and disassembled, step 2 is going to be strip using QCS. QCS is a product made by Stripwell. You can find it on their website. It's non-flammable, biodegradable, and nearly 100% non-toxic, and it's by far the best furniture stripper that I've ever used. One of you guys actually put me onto this stuff. I can't remember who it was, but if you're out there watching this video, thank you so much. And a huge thank you to all of you watching this in general. You guys are constantly giving me tips on products to use, ways to do things. If you're watching this video and you're still spending your money on Citrus Strip, please do yourself a favor and check this product out. You have my personal guarantee that you won't regret it. My biggest advice for spraying on the QCS would be to take your time with figuring out the perfect mist setting for the bottle. Mist it on evenly all over the drawer fronts and the body or whatever you're stripping, and then walk away for 15 minutes. Don't come back in 5, don't come back in 10. Let it do its thing, and when you get back, re-wet it one more time and then scrape. This part is definitely one of the most satisfying to watch, so I'm gonna shut up and let you guys enjoy. Once you get through that final layer of paint or lacquer or whatever it may be, the next thing you're going to want to do is put some QCS in either a cup or a jar, anything you can dip some steel wool into, and then get that steel wool wet and scrub all of the last remnants of paint or lacquer off of your project. By the time you're done, the QCS in that jar or cup or whatever you put it in is going to be murky and not clear anymore. But the cool thing about it is you can actually still reuse that. Once we had everything cleaned up and we could see that bare wood, we moved on to step 3, sanding. Anytime you're sanding a piece, make sure that you're letting the orbital sander do all of the work, and even if you're using an orbital sander, still make sure to go with the grain and never against the grain. If you're like me, you might think, well, it's just spinning in a circle. Why does it matter which way I'm going? But if you start pushing that sander from side to side against the grain, you are going to push apart those beautiful wood grain patterns and leave them not as tight as you found them. I finished up what I thought was a good job sanding, and we moved on to step 4, wood fill and repair. There's a chunk missing on the bottom right corner of this piece, and to fill this spot, I'm going to be using a trick that we've used in the past, which is to mix some sanded off sawdust from the piece that you're working on with some wood glue to create a custom wood filler for the piece. This is something that worked for us in the past, but we had a lot of trouble with it with this project. I don't know if I got the ratio wrong, or maybe I didn't let it dry long enough, but it ended up being really gummy, and it didn't match the color that well either, so I just took it out and wood filled over it with some regular wood filler. The veneer on the right side of the piece is also separating from the base, so we go ahead and wood glue that and clamp it up to dry. Moving on to step 5, create a new base. I don't know if you guys can tell by looking at the piece, but this dresser only weighed about 30-40 pounds, which is extremely lightweight. I mean, I could pick this thing up by myself, no problem. The whole thing just didn't feel that structurally sound, particularly the bottom part that's touching the ground. So we're going to be going in and adding a whole new bottom structure for this piece and some new legs that will not only improve the structure, but also add to the design. We started off by cutting some 2x2s on the miter saw, which will attach to the front and the sides of the bottom. We drill some pocket holes in those and get those screwed right in. When I was cutting the 2x2s on the miter saw, there were some knots in the wood. This was my first time cutting through a knot in a piece of wood, and it stopped the miter saw blade dead in its tracks. Never seen anything like it, but we kept pushing through and eventually we got there. Next up, we cut some 45-degree angles on some 1x3 pieces of wood. These are select pine pieces. We attached everything together using some more pocket holes, and this is going to be the actual base of the piece. We'll connect this to the 2x2s that we added earlier. When attaching the 1x3 pieces to the 2x2 pieces, I'm pre-drilling holes that are big enough to accommodate the screw head. That way the screws won't stick out and they can disappear into the wood. Now that that's all attached, it's time to create some legs. For the legs, we're cutting them using the miter saw, and we're cutting a piece of 2x4. We created similar legs for a recent project that we did, but we used 1x3 for those, and they looked great from the front, but they looked a little funky and a little too thin from the side. So these 2x4 pieces are going to look good from not only the front but also the side. We were a little concerned with how we would attach the legs to the base that we just made, but thankfully we found these other legs sitting around, and we were able to steal the screw from those legs, which we weren't a huge fan of, and use them on these. Once those screws were in each leg, we drew with a Sharpie on the tip of the screw. That way we could mark on the base where we needed to go before we drilled those pilot holes. We applied some wood glue for good measure, twisted those legs right in, and whoo, that base is looking damn good, if I do say so myself. With the base done, we're moving on to step 6, stain, or as I like to call it, steps 666, because this step is the devil. I almost don't even want to watch this because I just know what's coming, and whew, it is rough. We go ahead and apply some pre-stain evenly all over the body and all of the drawers, wiping off any excess. We've used water-based stains in the past and we haven't been the biggest fan, but we went and picked out a really nice one from Woodcraft. We found a color that we loved by General Finishes and we decided to give it a try. Man, this is tough to watch. Looking at the piece, it's so splotchy, seriously. The reason I'm calling this step 666 is because this is the most, I don't know, like, this is just the most demoralizing thing ever. When you put in so much work and you finally get to the end, the base is on the piece, you're like, okay, all I have to do is just apply the stain and we're done. But then you put on the stain and you're like, oh, shiitake mushrooms. I'm really trying not to curse in this video. Anyway, it just sucked. So we did some panic Googling. We were like, well, what do we do? do, and what we read was if you do a coat of stain and don't apply it evenly, just do a second coat and apply that coat evenly. So we decided to try and spray the stain on. We sprayed each of the drawers and the body, and to be honest, we should have just stopped at this first drawer because I can tell right away after wiping that it's not the result we want. All in all, I would say that spraying on the stain is a good way to make a huge mess and waste a ton of shop towels, but my real advice after going through all this would probably be not to use a water-based stain, especially on older wood. If you have a nice new piece of wood, it would probably be no problem, but this wood has seen better days. So we're gonna move on to step 7, which is restrip. We applied some more QCS, scraped off as much of that stain as we could before this time going in with some fresh sanding nets, 120 grit and then 220 grit, just letting the sander do all the work, sanding super evenly with the grain. And that's pretty much all I want to say about this part. This is, I mean, it was painful. It is what it is, you know. We're undoing everything we just did, basically. With everything finally looking nice and evenly sanded, even better than it was the first time, we're moving on to step 8, restain. So this time we're ditching the General Finishes water-based stain. Nothing against General Finishes, I'm sure they make a ton of great products. In fact, I know they do. But this time we're going to be going with a product called Danish oil, which is a combination of several things, but mainly teak oil and a lacquer finish. This is going to penetrate deeper into the wood and strengthen the wood and also stain it and look great. With the Danish oil, it felt like we couldn't mess up applying it if we tried. I love how easy it was to apply, and I love the end result that we got with it. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Also, I want to take a second to address that beam that separates the bottom 2 drawers from the rest is definitely not the same type of wood. I mean, we knew that pretty much as soon as we stripped off the paint, but I was a little worried that this piece would end up looking a little weird, but man, that piece looks so cool with the Danish oil. Moving on to step 9, hardware. We started off on the hardware by cleaning everything off with some acetone before giving everything a coat of primer with Rust-Oleum metal primer. We followed that primer up with a coat of gold by Rust-Oleum, waited a couple hours, and got everything reassembled. This piece was definitely a labor of love. As you guys saw, a ton of work went into this one, but I'm really happy with the end result. As always, here's what the piece looked like before we got started, and here's what she looks like now. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. Now, on to the fun part, the $100 100 days of full-time furniture flipping giveaway. The rules for this are super simple and super easy to follow. All you need to do to enter the drawing for the $100 giveaway is subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. And to make this even more fun, 1 comment equals 1 entry. I'm not going to limit the number of entries you guys can have. With that being said though, make sure that you're commenting full sentences. Comment something fun. You guys have 24 hours to comment as much as you want down below. We're going to be announcing the winner on our next video, which by the way is going to be our Q&A video. Thank you guys so much for following along on our journey. Whether you're an OG or you're just now finding us on this video, I want to give each and every one of you a big thank you. I hope to see y'all in our next video. Peace.